So, one of the guys who I spoke to was a guy called Phil Wheatley. Now, many of you will remember he at the start of the Paul Sykes documentary, he was that guy who was probably one of the greatest beards I've ever seen. He had a beard up to literally his eye, and he was the governor of several different prisons. He still works for the government, but at that time in 1990 or 89, he was the whole prison governor. So this is the book that kind of covers everything, not the hearsay, the facts, and I talk about it's basically his life, not the hearsay from the start until the end. I talk about the demon drink, his fighting ability, a life of terrorisation, the fearsome rep, the beginning of his life, the women. I really go intensively into the alleged allegations. So that's the book, Sykes, Final Agony. The clue's in the name, Final Agony, because it is the last book from me. I'm done. But what I want to do, I mean, obviously there's a 20-page chapter in there from the former top chief of West Yorkshire Police, and I tell you what I'll do. I'll read the last paragraph. So this is a man who saw every criminal conviction, every allegation against. It's actually dedicated to Neil Booth, that book. People will know who he is, obviously, who followed the Duffy thing. So 107. So what so this is a guy, the word acro, I never even knew what an acro was, but it's quite commonly referred to on YouTube, or has been the last couple of months. So he saw everything, all the allegations, and he said to me, all hearsay, all complete utter hearsay. And that guy would have told me, I couldn't disclose his name because he told me in confidence. But what I will do, I'll read you the last paragraph. To finish this chapter off, I'd just like to say that Paul Sykes was a man who didn't need any introduction. I've come across loads of big guys, big dickheads who've tried to play the big man to me. Most of them used to say to me, "Do you know who I am?" I used to just be like, "Hang on a minute. If you're asking me if I know who you are, then you can't be all that. Take it from me. Paul Sykes didn't need that shit. Everybody knew who Paul Sykes was, even if they fucking hated him. They just knew who he was, and that's what put Paul Sykes in a league of his own. Of all the tough guys I ever come across in 30 years of the police force, and many more years before that in the British Army. I'd like to finish this chapter on a factual note. I knew Paul over a period of time, and in my time I never ever heard of any allegations that he was of any kind of sexual deviant, and neither did any of my colleagues down the old Wood Street police station. I can't say for certain what Paul got up to in many years behind bars, but if it's true and he was a homosexual, then that's up to him and it's his business. What I can confirm to you now 100% was the man never had any kind of sexual offences on his lengthy police record. Believe me, I knew everything that Paul Sykes was involved with, as I've looked at his pretty impressive records with us long enough. but nothing of that nature was ever on, trust me. The man was a total effing twat, and I have no reason to lie, but he was not a convicted sex offender. So that's the former top chief of West Yorkshire Police. Not YouTube hearsay. So there you go. Make that of what you will.